Welcome to the Canon PowerShot ELPH 110HS review. Now, I got this camera a few days ago for my birthday. You know, good camera, generic, $200, not expensive really, subcompact, doing pretty good on the Consumer Reports list, which I use to rate my products and electronics and such other things. So we turn it on. It's got a telephoto lens with a Canon zoom lens of 5x 15. Also, it has a 4.3 to 25.5 millimeter lens with a 1.27 to a 5.9 f-stop on it. Shoots in full HD as an image stabilizer. And now let's look at some of the features. Now, once you get the camera, there's a lot of stuff you can check out. There's the front logo, which has your 16.1 megapixel slot, your flash, your sensor. Your light to tell you when the flash is ready or the picture's ready, your microphone, your speakers, your zoom, your on-off switch, your auto and program switches, your battery opener, ID numbers, tripod slot, display functions, flash, brightness, contrast settings, move your record button, lens settings, review button, menu, function set, and display. All these are great features on this Canon. Come to the side here, you got your wrist strap lock, and you have also your ports where you can input a HDMI cable, which does not come with the camera. You have to buy that separately, and a AV port for your USB cord that comes with the camera wrist strap. So now let's turn on the camera. As we turn on the camera, you can see it's got this. And I have it set to program mode, which it does auto stuff. So as you can see, you probably might not be able to see it very well, but it has f-stop 2.7 with an ISO of 1250. And it has 1 out of 20 light settings on. So now as we go to the program mode, auto mode, auto determine scenes and choose optimum settings. Okay, so, took a picture. Can we do that? Let's see. Yeah. See, it does the auto settings for me, and it does that, and it focuses on certain objects that are key or smaller. And I normally go into program mode. And then you have your flash settings over here, which you can set the flashes to whatever you want. I normally take it off because I know well what I'm doing. Then you have your display mode, which takes away the HUD or display, as you want to say. Takes that away. Anyways, next on to the next section, which is the macro settings, or for shooting near and far subjects, infinity and macro. I normally keep it to normal because it auto adjusts or something. And you have your exposure settings, which you can expose the rate of exposure to the picture and get a more detailed shot. As you can see, it got darker. Now, we click this button right here, which is the review section. I have taken some pictures that I'll show. Kingdom Hearts 2, sunset this morning. And then you have the menu button, which here in review mode you can set different options. So as we can see, we can set options here and stuff. Now, as you can see, we have a button right here that is the movie record button. We'll get to that later. Now, as we click the function set button, it gives us a list of options, such as the P mode, which since we're setting in program mode, it'll give us various options, such as movie digest, which it takes a 4-second 720 HD clip before each shot, and then afterwards you put them into your editing program, or say the included software with the camera, and you make a video with it to show you a clip from every shot. Before you take a picture, of course, it does this. Then portrait mode, which is you get the best out of people's shots. Smooth skin, smart shutter, high speed burst, handheld night scene, low light, fisheye effect, miniature effect, which it blurs the top and bottom for a miniaturized effect, which is really cool. Toy camera effect, I love this effect. The soft focused effect, monochrome, super vivid, poster effect, color accent, means you can keep only selected colors and change the others to black and white. Color swap, which changes a particular color to another when shooting. Such as I point my camera at that orange over there. That orange. And I can swap it out with that black. So the orange will be black. Yeah, so the black will be orange and the blah, blah, blah. You know, you get the point. Then I have underwater, which, if you shoot underwater, you need the optional underwater case that you can buy for this. Snow, which is, you can shoot natural-looking snowy scenes. Long shutter and exposes for very dark scenes. Stitch Assist, which you must use the included software to use Stitch Assist. And iFrame Movie, which is for editing on iFrame compatible devices, and Super Slow Motion Movie. Now there'll be tests of all of these certain features, such as the Super Slow Motion Movie, the Digest Portrait, and all these other various settings. And then if we come over to the side over here, we have we have a timer. Let me set it back so it'll fix. Sorry. This camera is a little difficult to use. And I have it set to ISO auto, so ISO goes up to 3200, and auto white balance, and I have my colors, which you can make your own colors with, and the light metering is set to the center. Oh crap, I don't want it to be 3200. I rather auto because I don't like to decide. Then they have the self timer, which you can do, and then there's the custom timer, which you can set. Then there's the drive mode, which tells you how many shots you want. Continue shooting, which I have it set to 4.3 still image aspect ratio. I have it set to 5.3. Then I have large recording pixels, which uses 16 megapixels. Then there's the compression, which I have set to good. Then here we go with the movie quality. There's 1920 by 1080, which shoots at 24 frames per second. There'll be a test. Also, same with 1280 by 720. And 640 by 480, there'll be a test with all those. Now, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to show all of you guys a pictures with the various settings on the camera. So, let's get started.
Hello everybody, I know this mic may sound different from whenever I recorded last time, but here we go. Now, this photo here is the handheld night scene effect. It was used at a shutter speed of 1/15, and the aperture value was 2.7. The light metering is evaluative. The exposure was 0. ISO speed was 1600 auto. It was shot at a focal length of 4.3. Now, as you can see here, handheld night scene, there was only one backlight in the photo with it, and I took a shot of my tripod on my workbench, and it came out pretty good, I guess. So this is the photo here. Take a second look at it. Anyways, on to the next photo. Anyways, guys, welcome back. This is the low light effect. It was shot at a shutter speed of 1/15, which is very good, and at aperture of 2.7. The light metering is evaluative, which is it's not focused on a center point, actually. The ISO speed was 5000. Now, the camera had automatically, manually, digitally set this. The ISO speed on the regular camera is 3200. Now, it was shot at 4.3 millimeters focal length, and the exposure rate is 0. I always have my exposure rate to 0. Now, on to the next photo. Hey guys, now, this next photo here is the fisheye lens effect of my Canon battery charger and the cover of my newest edition of Musician's Friend. Now, it was shot at a shutter speed of 1/13, and the aperture value is 2.7, and the exposure rate was 0, of course, as always, and the ISO speed was 1600, automatically, and the focal length was 4.3 millimeters. That's the normal one, and that is it. Now, on to the next picture, guys. Now, this next photo here is the miniature effect, which I used on my Canon battery charger, and also I used it again because it didn't come out so right at first. Now, these photos were shot at, the miniature effect, and the aperture speed was, aperture value, was 2.7, and the shutter speed was 1/20, and the exposure was 0. The ISO speed was 800, and focal length, of course, was 8.3. And that'd be it. And so on to the next photos, you guys. Now, the next effect that we'll be looking at is the toy camera effect, which it simulates the pinhole cameras that were used a long time ago, like a box camera, to imitate the vignette that it would give off. Now, this was shot at a 1/20 aperture shutter speed, and the aperture value was 2.7, and the ISO speed was 800. Now, I have two photos, of course. One is the normal display. One is the normal duration. The second photo is the it's the cool effect, the cooler version of it. Not like cool as in like, hey dude, that's cool and everything. No, this is the cooler version, like some more bluish, as you can see. And take a look. Now, onto the next set. Now onto the next effect. As you can see, this next effect here is called the soft focused effect. It is used to blur the edges a little bit and give it more of a softer contrast to bring out the whites more. Now, it was shot... I'm sorry. I'm sorry again. It was shot at a aperture speed of 1/10, and the aperture value of it was 2.7. The light metering was evaluated. I'm sorry for that. The exposure rate was 0. The ISO speed was 800 auto, and of course the focal length was 4.33 millimeters. Now this is a very good effect. I like this one, except for the blurriness. It kind of blurred out a little too much. Anyways, on to the next effect. The next effect that we're looking at here is the monochrome effect, which is black and white. Monochrome basically means taking out all the reds, the greens, and the blues, and leaving just the blacks and the whites. Now, this was shot at a shutter speed of 160, 1/60 if you prefer. Aperture value was 2.7, the ISO speed was 800 auto, focal length 4.3 millimeters, and the exposure rate was 0. Now, the one thing I like about this effect is the black and white. I always wanted to take black and white photos. Anyways, on to the next parts of the effect that I like. It's better than most that I've taken with a black and white camera. Not saying that this takes only black and white, but anyways, on to the next effects. We're almost done, guys, so bear with me. Continually. Bear with me. Thanks. The next effect that we'll be looking at is the super vivid effect, which it brightens up the colors and stuff. As you can see in the picture, this boy's face is white, but now it's really red. It brings out more of the reds and the yellows and the greens. And, of course, the shutter speed was 120, 1/20, aperture value 2.7, and the ISO speed was 800 auto. And it's a very good effect. I love it. I like it a lot because of the super vividness, although sometimes it brings out too much color. Anyways, on to the next one. The next effect we'll be taking a look at is the poster effect. It was shot, this picture here was of Travis Pastrana doing a strange trick. I'm not sure what it was. Travis Pastrana is really awesome, if you guys didn't know. Anyways, shutter speed was 1/13, aperture values were 2.7, light metering evaluative, ISO speed of 800, and focal length of 4.3 millimeters. Now, this effect, it darkens and gives more of grainy images to the picture to simulate more of a poster, an older poster though, not a newer poster. Newer posters are more clear. As you can see, there's a light flare, so that's not part of the effect if you guys were wondering that. Anyways, let's move on to the next effect here. This next effect here is the color accent effect, which if you choose a certain color, it'll take away those and add just black and whites there. As you can see where the floor tiling is, I chose that certain color and it took away those colors, like the blacks, and it just left the blacks and the whites. Now, this photo was shot at a shutter speed of 1/15 with the aperture value of 2.7. And the ISO speed was shot at... The ISO speed was 800 auto, and it was a focal length of 4.3. This is a very awesome effect, especially with the next few effects that are coming up, so keep staying tuned, guys, and I'll see you guys with the next effect. This next effect that we'll be talking about is called the color swap. Now, if I mentioned earlier on in the video when I was talking about all of the different picture effects that there was a color swap effect. Now, if you remember that sign, it was orange before. Now, I used the color swap effect. I picked the black from the text and I switched it out with the orange. Now, as you can see, there's still a little bit left because of the lighting in the room. Now, this was shot at a shutter speed of 1/8 with the aperture value of 2.7, and the ISO speed was 800 auto with a focal length of 4.3 millimeters. This is a very awesome effect. I really like it indeed. It's probably one of my favorite of all times on the camera, and it's a very useful effect, but there's still little tweaks in it that need to be carried on, such as the lighting and everything else that looks decent about it, but not so good. Anyways, on to the next effect, guys. This next and last effect here is called the long shutter effect. Now, you can set the shutter speed to wherever you want it to snap and take the photo, but it'll open up the thing as high as it can and it'll take a snapshot. But it opens it up so much and it'll let in tons of light, so you have to be careful about how much lighting you put into your scene when you're using this photo effect here. And you can open it for, I think the most is 15 seconds, and it lets in a lot of light, and then it takes the photo. Now this photo was taken here with the shutter speed of 5 and an aperture value of 2.7 with an ISO speed of 100 with a focal length of 4.33 millimeters. Now, as you can see here, it only had a backlight. Now this is actually pretty bright for just having one backlight. Now this is the last of the effects. Next on, we'll be moving to videos and video effects. I'll see you guys then. Hello everybody and welcome to the ending of the Canon PowerShot ELPH 110HS review. Now we explored many things about this camera. We explored the features, the menu, the video features, the photo effects and everything else upon the camera. Also, some of the other minor little settings. Anyways, to end this review, I give this camera about a 4.8. The one thing I didn't like about it was that some of the menus were a little complicated to use, and that some of the deleting features I didn't like really, because you have to click like 3 times, and then it sounds like a rhythm. You go doom like that when you delete. Anyways, that's just one little thing I had a problem with. That didn't really affect me that much. But anyways, back to the real reason of this. So this is the ending of the review. And another review was kind of lengthy, but it's in depth. That's the whole thing about it. It's in depth about the camera itself. Anyways, so I hope you enjoyed watching it all, and I'll see you guys later next time when I make a different video. Alright, see you guys later.